Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you my master money picks. I thank you very much for stopping by. We are going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole on analysis on my picks, and let's get into this. Of course, to kick this off, I do have the Masters giveaway. It is still running, and it will stop running. I'm going to stop taking entries at 8 o'clock Eastern tonight. So then I can do the draw and then announce that tomorrow when I do my fades, sleepers, ownership projections, all that fun stuff, weather. But again, if you are new to hearing what this contest is, let me give you a little bit of info. So if you would like and subscribe and tell me who is going to win the Masters, you could win a $100 entry into the Millie Maker for the Masters. And I'm picking two people right now. It doesn't look like I'm going to make it to 500 subscribers. Close to 400. So I thank you guys for all that are subscribing and my subscribers. And of course, if you are a subscriber and you have not sent me your pick to win the Masters, please do. I'm going to stop taking entries again at 8 o'clock tonight so I can put them all in the generator, get those ready, and announce the winners tomorrow. So best of luck there. Okay, so just following up a couple hot topics. Just thought you might be interested. So I listened. There's a presser that DeChambeau did, and it's kind of based around, I think, the guys at like Cobra Golf, whatever. But it was very interesting. It's all about the Masters. He just did this, I think, on Sunday, and the whole news of it is that he's not going with a 48-inch driver, none of that, but he has a driver that he's putting into play that he's been working on for the past 3 years. He is super psyched about it, thinks it's going to be perfect, and from a preparation standpoint, Bryson says he's in the best place he's been coming into the Masters, where he's kind of felt like in previous tournaments, like even at the U.S. Open, there was a lot of things that they were trying to get done or still practicing as the tournament started. So he says he's in great form, ready to go, which that's all good news. And then to the right there, you got Brooks Koepka at Augusta in his practice rounds, and the guy, all the footage. He hasn't done a presser yet, but everything they've been showing, and what I've heard is that, of course, he's not here to just play. He's here to win. Very typical Brooks. But everything's looking good. So thumbs up for Brooks to be able to compete in this thing. Then I want to talk a little bit about, I talked about comp courses yesterday and kind of mentioned, hey, there is not really a good comp course out there that fits Augusta. And then, funny enough, as I was going down my own rabbit hole, I stumbled on Shadow Creek. And of course, that's where they held the CJ Cup this past summer. That's located in Las Vegas, Nevada. And if you saw that tournament, I don't think anybody stated, but literally it's like they took Augusta National and plopped it in the middle of the desert. I had that course from identical yardage, bent greens, par 72, and I didn't go through the scorecard and like match, how they set up the holes. But I remember watching, and even the undulation of the greens. I don't know if there's much as slope in the fairways as as much undulation in the fairways, but everything about that course really does kind of compare and look like Augusta, from the pine trees, the pine straw. I remember watching the tournament, and then I went back and looked at the analysis in my shows from the CJ Cup, and literally my three comp courses was Augusta. It was, of course, Quail Hollow and Crooked Stick, where they played in the past, Wells Fargo, I believe, and also some PGA championships. So it is actually, I think, the best comp course we have, along with these others. And so with that said, let's go just do a little, travel back in time to the summer, go look at the CJ Cup and what transpired there. Okay, so as you guys typically see, I do keep every round analysis, stroke gain analysis from the tournament. This is the final results. And if we remember right, Jason Kokrak, which, was only 7K at that time, but came out of kind of nowhere, was playing well, but gained over 10 strokes on the putting surface there. And of course, we did find out later, and I mentioned this in my show, that he probably had the most course knowledge. Of course, that was the first time they played the CJ Cup there. Typically they played at 9 Bridges overseas, which, is actually a par. I think it's a par 70 on bent grass, but it's a shorter course. But long story short, it was amazing how many strokes he gained with the putter. And then, as I mentioned, he is sponsored by MGM, and so he would go out there, play quite a bit, take guest and whatever. But I was already thinking Jason Kokrak. Nobody has really been talking about Jason Kokrak, as when I say that from like the Golf Channel, it's all about the top 10 guys. But I think he's very live here. He, of course, got the extra inch putter, so he's been putting lights out, and the guy has been playing. So we're going to look at Jason Kokrak. I just wanted to bring that up. Of course, Xander did very well there. The guys that kind of led, if you remember, Terrell Hatton. He flew literally from Europe. I think he got in the day before, played in a tournament right before that, and did pretty well. Might have won it if I remember correctly, and then came there and shot 7 under and just lit it up on approach. You could see come Saturday that he started to, I think the jet lag and everything that he went through, shot 1 over, but then came back and shot 7 under and ended up, with a T3. And I looked at some of the guys that are listed here who did well at that course, and it makes sense. I mean, Russell Henley at the time was playing great. The guy is an approach master. That is what we're going to be looking at for the master. It's all about, the approach, green and reg. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. You had Gooch, who's not at the Masters, but, led around the green. Bubba Watson, who's won twice at the Masters. Of course, he was playing amazing at this time. Tee to green, his approach game was ridiculous. He actually lost putting, but gained 11 strokes. So tee to green, he actually led the field. Total strokes gain, of course, again, fell to Kokrak. And then lastly, Rory, if you remember, led the field off the tee, but, was losing strokes on approach and around the green. And this was before he decided to go chase the driver's speed. So anyways, I wanted to just bring that back in. I think it is a very good comp course. It's also a good field to look at. So there's 77, it doesn't show, but there was 77 guys, players in this field. You had some, Asian, guys that played in. It was very little, but a lot like the Masters, we have 88 in the field. I think I said in my preview, I apologize, I think I had 94. It's actually 88 guys in the field, but it is a lot of the same guys that we were going to see at the Masters. If you look right down the whole list, it's pretty much the Masters field. So in the same kind of field, same kind of course. And it's the most recent thing we have, except if you, remove a course in November playing the Masters, but under different conditions. These greens are firm and fast. Everything from a rough perspective, again, the layout, the sand traps. It's like I said, it's like they dropped Augusta in the middle of the desert. So again, something to look at. If you're doing your own analysis, you can dive in a little deeper. But that's all I really wanted to mention on that. Okay. So then back, if you missed the preview show, I just always go cover this again, and I actually made some changes to this, as I kind of said it might happen. So how to win at Augusta, the more I've sat and thought, and also looking at what DJ did very well in November, he hit, I believe it was 60 greens of regulation. That's where he led the field. And then I went back and more analysis, and I still state that you can win at this course different ways, right? I mean, Patrick Reed, Emmelman, Zach Johnson. We've shown guys that, we could call plotters, but just really did it around the green and putting. But I was really heavy on the putting, and I've actually changed my mental thought on that a little bit. I am going to be kind of focusing more tee to green on approach. The proximities I'm going to be looking at from 75 to 175. Putting is going to be weighted, you'll see in the model, pretty heavily and around the green, but I did make some changes, on how I was going to approach this instead of just purely working from the putter back to the tee box. And it was even the way I approached it last time, but I was with the firmness and the fastest, but I do believe we're going to get rain. There's, the greens are going to, they can kick the sub air on and they can keep them firm. But long story short, I'm going to focus a little more than I was on approach. So just stating that. Okay, with that said, let's go into the analysis on my picks. Okay, so what we're looking at here is Fantasy National, and this is an area you can do a ton of analysis. This is what I leverage to do, a lot of my research. And I've already kind of weeded through it. I'm going to go ahead and pop that off so we can, quickly, I'm going to go through like the top 30 guys from a cost perspective. And then once, I'll show you the guys that I'm picking, and then we'll summarize where I see them as from a top 5, mid 5 to the final 5 guys. So 15 guys is who I'm focusing on for this. And of course, we'll start right off the bat. So what you're looking at first off is these are my keystroke indicators that I'm focusing on. I am, as I mentioned, I'm waiting and looking at approach, green and reg, par 4, distance, tee to green. Then the next thing is I got the putting splits, so we can see how they do on bent. And then I really heavily over here broke down putting, because I did mention I think putting is going to be crucial. And so, but it's these two things combined is what's getting me to my kind of final selection. And if you typically watch me, usually I go through kind of a correlation where I look at recent form and then how they done at the course and how they done at comparable courses, and and maybe the putting. Honestly, I've cut that out because I just don't think there's enough good analysis that's really it's going to get me to here anyways. And so we're just going to jump right in and look at the analysis of the guys. And I kind of mentioned this on the previous show that it's going to be a little different flow than usual. So with all that said, let's get into this. So Dustin Johnson, right off the bat, I personally feel like, and I can go through, and if you've been watching, his form is just not where it's been literally since he's won the Masters. Let's just click on him anyways, just so we can just talk a little bit about what's been going on. So you can see here, at the players, he's losing tee to green, he's losing on approach. The WGC Mexico event, it was just a struggle again, losing off the tee. Lost. I mean, I'm not going to hold that against him. The 10 strokes, that is, I don't think he's ever done that before again. But what I've seen is he's either been struggling with the putter, but he's struggling with something every time. He's just not been there since the Masters. Not a bad showing at the Genesis, but his last 2 rounds, and then also taking time off. Literally since, as you see, since the Masters, he's played 4 times. I'm just a little worried that, and maybe I'll be totally caught off guard, but typically my rule of thumb is I fade the number 1 most expensive guy, and I just haven't seen that at Dustin. And you can see from a putting perspective, he's been struggling. So, he doesn't typically gain on bent over the last 24 rounds. And you can see he's actually been losing in all categories with the putter. And then and this is looking, just so the last 12 rounds, because if I pulled up a 24 round past history, it's going to look better. And it's not what has been going on. His last 12 rounds, this is a better indication. He's still hitting the ball good, from a distance perspective. But the main things that I've been looking at are these kind of top 3, just so that's kind of why they're there, is approach, green and reg gain, and then par 4 efficiency because of the need to manage. So with all that said, I'm passing on DJ. You've got a little bit of analysis there. You can see, of course, make your own decisions. That's why I'm doing it this way. Jon Rahm, kind of the same thing. He's almost a little bit, I'd say he's probably been a little better than DJ, of course, but his putter has been just a fiasco. I'm also, yes, he had the baby, but he has not actually arrived, last I heard, at Augusta yet. Now, he's played here many times. Does he need all the practice? I'm just a little leery that I don't know where his head's going to be, and to make him kind of my core, leadoff pick, it's going to be a little rough to go there right now when I think there's other guys that are probably more focused. But if we look at Rahm, this is what I was talking about with the putter. You can see he did a little better at the Players, but that is on Bermuda. But kind of struggled a little bit here, the Genesis. His form hasn't been a disaster. I'm not saying that. Just not where I want to see Rahm if he's my main first guy in. And so I am skipping on Rahm. But you can see in the key stat categories, he's top 20 or better. So don't think I didn't look heavily at that. It was mostly this side. That is, the putting part that made me a bit nervous. And with the greens, again, if all stays true, and not that Rahm has been a terrible putter at all by over his career. It's just recently, it's a lot of confidence when it comes to putting, and I just don't think he has it. Now, can something change? These guys are literally always a stroke away, a swing away from, right back to form. Hence why it's so hard predicting this stuff. DeChambeau, which I was totally off against this guy and the November Masters. But I think his head's in a different place. I think he's a little more humble. Also, I've always said, whenever you hear the guys on the Golf Channel and even us, the analysts, just touting certain people, that's typically when they flop. And as sure as the world, DeChambeau, I think went out and thought he was going to own that course, make it a par 67, he stated. And then, of course, on the third hole, lost his tee shot. They found it, too late after they already dropped. And I think he was just kind of hosed from the word go, with all the media attention, and he created some of that attention. Neither here. I like DeChambeau. He will be one of my top guys going in because everybody forgets this guy is a very good putter. He thinks things over. I think he's got his head in a better place to go after this Masters. And so, positive on bent, hits all my categories. I don't know if he, I didn't look at this. I'm curious if he played the CJ Cup. I don't remember seeing his name. No, he's never actually played in the CJ Cup. It was interesting. But we look at his recent form, of course, won at API, third at the Players, 22nd. He did have a miscut at the Genesis, was kind of not good all the way around. If you look at his Masters history, I shouldn't have done it that way. I apologize. Let me go back here. Better way to look at it. His best was a 21st, but of course, I'm not really super concerned with. But he actually won, or was the low am at the Masters back as an amateur, which that doesn't come up. But I'm not so much concerned. What I know is he does have history here, and he will figure this out. And I think he could be very live if he, doesn't try to overpower the course. Okay, Justin Thompson. Again, on approach, green and reg, everything's good here. Now, again, the odds that he can go and, win the Players and win the Masters, of course, there's that whole narrative where the only one ever done it is Tiger Woods. I'm not even so much concerned about that he won the Players. I think he, again, from a mental standpoint, is in a better place. Now, this is the one area, and like I said, I'm going to go against some things. I know that he is a better putter than this, but he is a bit streaky. He can get super, nuclear hot with the putter, and then he can go into a fiasco. But over the trend of this is over the history of his putting, you can see, he is typically positive on bent. Did he play the CJ? Yeah, so he actually came in 12th. I'm not worried about the ones below. He won it twice over there, 9 Bridges, but, at that course. But, I mean, again, that's, it's a while ago. I'm not using it as the main end-all, be-all. If we look at what did he do at Valero, he did not play. I don't know if he played in the other ones. I won't even look at Houston. How did he do at Arnold Palmer? That's interesting. He didn't play in that here. So, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot from the comp courses that I was looking at, but, you can see his form. He had with the grandfather passing and whatnot was kind of the one mishap. And, of course, the slip of the tongue when the mic was on that he didn't know. But, yeah, I mean, the guy, he had a 4th here recently. And if we just go and look at his Masters history, this is what I thought was kind of interesting. So every time he's gotten a little better from where he's placed, from where he's got from a total stroke gain. So he's trending in the right direction. And, as I mentioned in my preview, typically it takes 6 times before you win this event. And it's going to be a 6th time. Now, make with that you will, but I do like him. Rory, I just can't do it. I'm a huge Rory fan. And, right here is still showing that he's, doing pretty decent, but he's been, from 100, 120 yards out, he's all over the map. The tee ball, he could have one good day, and then, it's just so many different things that are going on with Rory. Now, maybe this is best case scenario for Rory. Maybe him not coming in and not being under the spotlight, and he just go out and play. Maybe he'll go out and just, do amazing. But again, with everything I've been seeing, he can't be one of my top guys. And, you can only have a couple. You could, of course, build different teams and just go through the top and do however you do. But I'm saying if you're creating a player pool that you're going with to, if it hits, you're going to do very well from a DFS perspective. You got to build your core team. And so, when I'm at the top here in the top 10,000 to 11,000, my 2 guys right now are DeChambeau and JT. Xander, same thing. I've just watched, of course, can he come and do the Xander, get, a top 3, these are typically the tournaments he excels at. But as of late, I just haven't seen a lot out of Xander that I've been super excited about. Let's go take a look. So the miscut at the Players, excuse me, which is not the end all be all, but his last two tournaments, it's just been kind of humdrum. Had a nice run here from the Tournament of Champions. His last showing at the Masters was the 17th, which, I think everybody had him penciled in for a top 5 there. But let's just go take a look at his Masters histories while we're here. So he's only played there 3 times. The best was the second. If we also go look where he did at the CJ Cup, he did have a second at Shadow Creek. Again, that was past summer. But yeah, again, from everything that I've been seeing out of Xander, not super pumped to make him one of my top. And you can see projected ownership here too on these guys. I didn't really weigh any of that right now. I'm not too concerned about that because I'm going to differentiate as I move down. Patrick Cantlay, I think he's one of my favorite picks. I think everything that Patrick brings to this game, of course, also won the Silver Cup here as an amateur, as a low am. And, you could see he is elite in all the areas that I want him elite. He gains on bent, and his putter, it's not one of those where it's either he's going to be on or off. He is typically always pretty solid. Not going to miss a putt here or there, maybe not, possibly. You also notice that I put these different feet in because a lot of the putts, your first putts at the Masters at Augusta, are going to come from more outside. I mean, you're going to need to make these, 10 footers, whatnot, sometimes even to say par. But I'm just curious to see is these guys that start draining these 15, 20 footers and avoiding the 3 putts that, is a big game changer from a putting perspective. If we go look at Mr. Cantlay, do a little deeper dive. Over his career, bent is his best surface. He had to miscut the Players, which might, which I'm actually a little excited about it. Get some people off him, right? Because he was on that hot run from, the California swing. If we look at his Masters appearance, he's had 4 trips here, not including as an amateur. He's had a 9th. Of course, remember that he, had the lead the year of the Tiger. I think it was like on the 12th or 13th hole. He had the lead really for like 22 seconds. And then I think he went out and like double bogeyed or something like that. And then a good showing in November. Not amazing, but, pretty good. But yeah, I just like where his game. And then I don't know, and he played in the CJ Cup. Wasn't nothing great. It was a 38. But, we can look at, he did not, has he ever played at Valero? No, that's Valspar. I'm just curious. I'm just looking at some of these other ones. That's the hard part is a lot of these guys don't play in some of the tournaments that I was going to be using. But anyways, I like Cantlay a lot. Morikawa, he ticks everything, driving distance I am not worried about here. Honestly, it can help, of course, when you're hitting shorter irons in, but that's not why. I mean, he's doing all the other things very well. It's what I've been watching. So if we go pull up Morikawa and just look at the crazy putting swing since he made the changes, right? So here you go. Figure this out. You're talking about Jekyll and Hyde, right? So it really, the grip change happened at the Genesis, and he lost 7.5 strokes putting. Then literally, it was the next weekend, 7 days later, he comes out and gains 4 strokes putting and wins the tournament at Concession. And then he goes back where we're like, okay, hey, this guy's got something, and then loses 2 strokes at the Players. And all this was fine. Look at these 3, all positive, gaining, crazy strokes, which he does. He's gonna, and that's why everybody keeps talking about, he's leads an approach, and that's what you need here. But you also need a putter. And so if you wanted to play kind of the guessing game, you'd be like, well, he's went positive, negative, positive, negative, could be positive. And that's what I've heard, from even the guys on the Golf Channel are like, oh, I'm not worried about the putter. He's going to be fine. And I'm like, I'm worried. So under that, I can't put him, again, for 9,600. I got to go with someone that I think has both sides. And funny enough, I don't like to be a Spieth jumping on the train, but I've been on watching his progress, and the guy, I'm just going to go right to his path. So what's amazing with Jordan at Augusta, and of course, bent is by far his favorite surface putting. But if we pull up his history, what I thought was really interesting is even during when he was struggling, the guy still performed. So, after he had the meltdown in 2016, then he comes back, and this is when the game starts to fall apart over this 3-year stretch. Still had an 11th, a third, and a 21st. And that's playing with subpar golf. And so now that he's more confident, the swing is where he likes it. He's been able to pull the shots off he wants. Everything tells me that there's no way he can't top 10 here, even possibly win. So I can't, there's nothing I could even build a case to why I would fade or not have Jordan Spieth in my, top 15 picks. So I'm all in on Jordan for this weekend for the Masters. Patrick Reed, almost kind of the same thing. Patrick hasn't been perfect, as you see. The guy just gets it done. His driving distance is never going to, but the guy can hit the shots. He can hit the draws you need here. He can hit that, fade if he needs. The guy is ridiculous around the greens. That's how he won here before, was around the greens and putting. I showed you that in the preview show. Of course, number one in the whole field with the putter. And if we want to just go take a quick little gander just at some recent stuff. So, he missed the cut at the Arnold Palmer. And, he didn't do anything really that exceptional at all. But, did pretty well at the Players, did well at Concession, and then just, of course, won the Farmers. So, pretty decent recent form for him. If we look at his Masters history, again, a 10th, a 36, won in 2018. But he's been here 7 times. The guy has a history here, and that's a big thing. I mentioned that multiple times, and you're going to hear it 1,000 times. Brooks Koepka, I didn't think I'd be saying this, especially I didn't think he was actually even going to be in the tournament. I mentioned that multiple times, but the guy's a big game hunter. I actually had a graphic, and you know what? I'll throw it in during the edit. I'll put it in because I think you need to see it. It's pretty miraculous. But anyways, the guy does everything I want, and the guy just is a big game hunter. And I'm not trying to make it that simple, but if he's here and he's going to give it a go, now, unless something crazy happens, I mean, the whole narrative is, oh my God, Augusta is, so much up and down the hills and walking, and, on this fairway, is going to make you use your right leg more on a shot. Yeah. I get all that. But the guy has shown, even through when he's been in some pain, that the guy can play. And we just look at recent history. His last event, came in second at Concession, 38 gens, won the Waste Management. And then we pull up his Masters history, again, going to be his 6th time. And he's, last 2's been a 2nd and a 7th. Really should have won in 2019 if it wasn't for throwing the shot, the par 3 in the water. Anyways, I think he wouldn't be here if he really didn't want to win this. And when this guy is in a major and he, I can't fade him. Just plain and simple. Tony Finau, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on Tony. The narrative with him is, right, he always shows up here, but he really didn't show up here, if I remember correctly. Let's go take a look now that I'm curious. The putter's just been a fiasco, and it doesn't help what I just saw. So he's been here 3 times. So, I mean, in 2020, when the course was at the easiest it's ever going to play, at a 38th. So that doesn't help me feel real comfy inside about Tony. And then just watching his game last few tournaments, I can't play Tony. And the putter's been a disaster. And then missing a cut at Valero, where everything at that course tells me he should do well, and he just played terrible. Now, again, you're one swing away from turning it all around. He could, be in a top 10, top 5 again. But I'm fading Tony for me. Webb Simpson, kind of the same thing. Webb just hasn't been Webb. And that's the simplest way I could put it. Like, I think I was on him like 1 week, and he still stunk it up. Let's just go take a look, because I'm just curious now why he's here. So, of course, he missed the Players, which that is the Webb course. I mean, less than 7,000 yards, Bermuda. It's a shot makers. You just got to be accurate. You don't have to be long, and then miss the cut. Waste Management. No reason he shouldn't have well there. Here's these 2 courses right here. Both really short, fit the Webb pro. So, I'm just not seeing. So off the tee, I'm not even that concerned of. But it's this, where Webb used to be elite, is on approach. And then even the putter. Now, of course, he gained 9 strokes here at the Sony. So without that, you can see he wouldn't have done anything. But he's not, typically you're going to see Webb against the field. I think his average should be around 2 to 2.5 strokes gained. And the putter magic hasn't been there. And really, the approach hasn't been there. So I'm kind of off. Terrell Hatton, of course, he missed the cut here in the 2020 Masters. His game is, I was on him. Oh my gosh, for the whole. Again, he's a little bit where he usually excels is in the shorter Bermuda tracks, and of course he missed the Players. Just haven't seen what I've been looking for. Usually, again, on approaches where he's going to make his hay. His last was at the CJ Cup, as we talked about. He gained 9 strokes on approach. Other than that, it's been kind of blah. The putter kind of killed him here. It was pretty solid to rest at the Arnold Palmer. Just, I haven't seen enough from Terrell. And also, I feel like he still has issues where, almost like the Rahm, where, he hits one bad shot, and you're not sure if he's going to mentally get back in the game. So, again, I love Terrell Hatton's game. I actually like him as a player. But all this nonsense with the putter and just what I've been seeing, I just don't see enough. And then also doesn't help that, again, in the easiest conditions, came out and missed a cut. And let me just pull up. Sorry, I should have looked at this while we were here. I want to see what I don't think his history at the Masters is yeah. So whatever it is with this course does not fit Terrell Hatton. 2 missed cuts and then a 56 and a 44. So again, who knows? You never know. I'm not sitting there saying there's no way possible. His game should not be a detriment here, but something's going on here. Lee Westwood, of course, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on him. You already know he's second. He played the Honda. Shouldn't have played the Honda. He should have took a break, but I think he's fresh. His game is in amazing form. And if you don't know what Lee Westwood's history at the Masters looks like, it's pretty ridiculous. He should have won multiple times already. So he should have won here in 2016. Should have won in 2010. The guy's, top tens every time he comes here. Does well now in 2020 when it was easy conditions. It didn't, but he's stated that he actually thinks it's better when it's fast for him. I kind of believe that. And, I like Westwood here. And also, like right now, projection ownership's less than, he could be a differentiator. I looked at Victor quite a bit. I like Vic. I think the putter and around the green, and I think he's only played here. Let's see here. Yeah, he played. Did he not play in? I forgot. Yeah, for whatever reason, he didn't qualify for the 2020 Masters. I guess so that makes sense. But funny enough, he is here, or he's played once before. Just not enough around in that aim point system. I believe has helped him. I think he's got more confidence with a short game and a putter, but just not enough to do a whole lot here. So I'm out on Vic. Sungjae Im, this is funny. This is all a lot of the Bermuda stats that's coming off here. But his approach has been way off lately. We can go take a quick look at him just so you can see. Of course, he had a good finish here in 2020 at the Masters. This is what has got me off Mr. Sungjae Im. So I'm going to count that as almost negative too. So for the last 5 events, he's been losing some crazy strokes on approach, and that makes me quite nervous. And I believe that, so last year's was his first time at the Masters. He might have learned some things that he thinks he knows and then tries to apply that again, and it could blow up in his face. So I'm off on Sungjae Im, but, could he do okay? Or could, if he, gets that approach game back. I like Berger. Everything, from an approach side, I don't think he has the greatest history here. I think I looked at that. Let me just see here. So, he's played here 3 times, best with a 10th. So, that's not bad. It'll be his 4th time around. So from a history standpoint, looks good. While we're here, I forgot what he did at the CJ Cup. The 28th, so nothing fantastic there. I was just curious. He did not play Valero, but has he ever played Valero? Didn't like Valero. The Houston, nothing really there. And Arnold Palmer recently missed a cut in 2019, but didn't play recently. But yeah, I'm on Berger. It's all about the approach. It's all about he can putt. Positive on Bent. Scotty Scheffler, from tee to green, typically is good, but what I just saw at the Valero was nauseous, and I just haven't seen enough out of Scotty recently. We can go quick on him real fast, see what he's done. So he played here, in the recent one, had a 19th finish. So at least has one, but also I almost feel like could it be a detriment that your first time playing here was under those conditions? It's the putter is the short of it right now with him. Funny enough, this is the craziest thing that I noticed. If he's outside like 15, 20 feet, the guy is deadly. But something about when you get him in within 10 feet is where I actually get nervous for him. So, yeah, I'm out on Scotty. Hideki, forget it. Yeah. I was on him, of course, for Valero. Thought, again, a tee to green specialist. I'll go look at his history, but this is, the putter has just been a disaster. He's also, all of a sudden, is struggling with the driver. I watched him just have the crazy hooks literally just the previous weekend, so that doesn't help. Miscut at the Players, where should be a pretty good fit. Miscut at the Genesis. His off the tee, as you see, of course, this is what I'm talking about. He lost or 3 strokes off the tee. If you track back, I mean, that, if I look at, that's pretty rare he ever does that. This is usually where he makes his hay and still positive green, but again, you just can't overcome. He lost almost 10 strokes at, Tournament of Champions. Again, I don't think that will happen, but everything I've seen, and that's what we got to go on. We just got to go on this, we're looking at really 30 guys, and we got to just kind of figure out which ones are we in on and which ones were we out on, and you just got to make a stand. Cameron Smith, of course, he had a great showing here last time. Is done well in this area that I want, but it's the putter. The guy's a grinder. It looks like he might be a little chalky, but I like Cameron Smith. I have an outright bet on him. Also, if you pull up, he's had even before what you saw here in 2020. He had a good finish. Yeah, back in 2018, he had a 5th. So this is his 5th time around the track. I like that. Of course, good putter. He's an Aussie. Like they like this. Seem like they do well here. Almost, I look at these two guys pretty similar, Fitzpatrick and him. You see his approach is not as strong. It's kind of funny that his ownership's even more right now. But the guy's a ridiculous putter. And again, I think we're going to need good putters. I don't think Fitzpatrick, off the top of my head, has as good as a history at the Masters. But he's been around here a little more. So he's got a 7th. And this will be his 7th time. So, definitely, but he, even with all that, and of course at 46 in easy conditions, I don't really, who knows what the answer to that is, but I like Fitzpatrick. I'm going with him. I thought about Tommy. This game's been coming along. I think, let's go look at his history here. I think it's pretty solid. I think his best is like definitely had a top 5 here before. No, he hasn't. I thought he did. So this will be his 5th time around. But yeah, Tommy's game, I think, is still coming around. Tommy used to be a pretty good putter, but his putter has been kind of a detriment. But his, tee to green game has been coming around. So, not a bad one to maybe take a flyer on if you want to differentiate. Sergio, of course, crazy history here, past winner. It's all about the putter. He's seen that he can do it here. And he has been, let's go, honestly, I'm more curious about what his putter has been doing because it's, of course, he just had the win. Where are you at Sanderson? But that wasn't. Maybe it was the Players, right? So he was doing pretty well there. Led the field. So he's still against the field, losing. But funny enough, at the CJ Cup, I'm going to reference that. He gained strokes putting there. Had a 21st. But yeah, it's all going to be. He doesn't have to, gain 2 strokes putting, but if he can keep it neutral, he can be very deadly here because he's been amazing tee to green. I mean, you can see everything here over his career. Just elite ball striker. Bubba was, kind of curious to me. I don't know how bad Bubba really is, fighting, but of course, great course history here. Won it twice. I don't think he did. I'm just curious I forgot now what he did in 2020, the recent one. I don't think it was that good, but let's go take a look here. Yeah, 57th. I mean, again, I'm not holding that against him. Different conditions. But I think we were all hot to trot because his game from tee to green was crazy at that point. You can see it's fallen off a little bit. But yeah, off on Bubba. I'm on Casey. I was on him oh gosh, what was this? 2019, where I thought it was his time to win. Let's go take a look at Casey at the Masters. Yeah. So the year Tiger won, I was like, this was his year, and he went out and just stunk it up. But if you look at his history, he's been here a lot. Guess I got to type in the full thing. He's got a couple sprinkle miscuts, but he's also got a lot of top tens. The guy knows, of course, it's going to come down with the putter with him. The guy's elite tee to green, but for that price tag, I think it's a great value for 7,700. Of course, you can see the ownership is pretty high. Adam Scott, did I skip someone? No, we talked about Bubba. His game has just been nowhere. He can get hot with the putter, and everybody says this is like a perfect course. Now, when he was hitting it elite off the tee, typically he was a very elite tee to green, and it was his putter that would hurt him. But he lost a driver, and I know he put a new driver, new shaft in, that super flex, whatever the heck it is. But you can see, not good when you're losing almost 5.5 strokes off the tee. I just haven't seen anything. Now, again, could he have fixed it? You can see here at the Honda, got a little better, just lost up with the putter. That's the typical, which is kind of amazing here, is look at him. He, is gaining solid strokes with the putter, but losing in the areas that he's never lost. So could it both come together? I mean, there's a narrative for you. He gets the driver working and the putter. I mean, the guy, let me see here. I think he had that close, should have won. Where was it? So he did win in 2013. Maybe it was in 2011 I was thinking of. But I mean, the guy has been here a ton. A few miscuts, but he's also had some really good finishes. He had a 34th in 2020. The guy definitely knows the track. It's just, what is that driver going to do is what makes me nervous. Jason Day, the game's been coming around. Could be very live here. I have a hard time playing Jason Day because I've been through all the back and withdrawals and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of soured me on Jason Day. I'm not going to lie. If we go and just look at recent, nothing super fabulous. Kind of showed up at AT&T. Everybody got pretty excited about that. Lost almost 8 strokes with the putter, and I got to see some of that where he's missing like 2.5, 3 footers. So that's not good, which used to be his strongest suit. So yeah, I'm out on Day until I see that putter start to show some things. Louis, right? I mean, the guy typically, I'll look at his past history here for you at the Masters, so you can see it. But typically, he'll be up there. He'll show you. We can just go look. So a 23rd recently, 29th, a 12th. He makes the cut. Best was a 2012. He had a second. Had some miscuts in the beginning, but I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Has made the cut here. So. Joaquin Niemann, I've got an outright bet on him. I think, it's going to come down to this, the putting with him, but the guy has been doing really well. Elite tee to green. I think Joaquin has only played here once. Let me verify that. Yeah, so 2018 miscut. So where Joaquin falls is he doesn't have the history here. And you can kind of look at it, of course, Will Z will be a first timer. That's part of the reason also his putter made me nervous. Answer is someone that, I was kind of back and forth on, but I just haven't seen enough of Abraham. Well, I was hoping to see more at the Valero. If I probably just saw a little better showing at the Valero, it might have got me on him. Harris English, of course, since the Tournament of Champions, just been broken. Justin Rose, we don't know what's going on at the back. Has a good history here. I'm not going to go into some of these guys because, I don't think it's really warranted. I don't think they deserve that. Horschel, had a great WGC event, but, it's such a different beast. Could he do something here? He could. You know what? I'm that intrigued. I didn't even look at what his past history is here. Let's just go take a look. Yeah. So, I mean, his best is a 17th, couple miscuts. So, I don't see anything that warrants, but Matthew Wolff, he, again, had one good day at the WGC. Or maybe we'll say a couple good days at the Dell Match Play, but I'm terrified of this guy right now. Now, here you go. Here could be, if you were looking for super differentiation and could, shock the world, this could be the guy. I mean, if he is back and mentally could be back, I think he's a better putter than what this is showing. He missed the cut, I believe, in 2020, the recent one in November, and that should be it. Yep. But yeah, I mean, if you go over form, but if you track this guy back, so what I've noticed with Matthew, okay, here we go. Ready? So 50th, 80th, miscut, win the 3M Open. And then again, go into kind of a doldrum, kind of a good show there, but he's in a doldrum, second at the Rocket Mortgage. And then, kind of miscut, nothing really amazing here. Even going back to where he made his one win. And then boom, had a fourth at the PGA. And then boom, a second at the US Open. And then a second at Shriners, and then just falls off the map again. So, I think it's a mental. There's been some discussions, and I'm not going to go into that whole thing, but there's definitely been, he went through, I think, some tough times mentally from just where his multiple homes, he was in Florida. I think then COVID hit, felt a little isolated. Now my understanding, he's happy. He's got a girlfriend, got a house in Oklahoma, around more of a friends and family, yada, yada, yada. I'm not a shrink. I just try to play one, I guess. But anyways, long story short, I think if you want to take some risk, there could be high reward with Matthew Wolff. But right now, I can't put him in the player pool. We'll just put it that way. I can get a little nutty, but I can't get that nutty. Max Homa, of course, won at the Genesis, great form. I think this game fits this course, and I didn't even look at Max history here. So he missed the cut in 2020, but I think his game and head is in a different spot. The guy is, can roll the ball pretty well. And we can see he can win under some stressful conditions, beating Al Finau in the playoff. That's the second win. He's won the Wells Fargo, which, I'm going to mess this up, I think it's Quail Hollow. That was his first win. Okay, let's go look. Sorry. Since I took us down this road, let's go look. So Wells Fargo, when he won in 2019, that was Quail Hollow. It's a good comp course. I know it's not the same green type surface, but he's won on POA, he's won on Bermuda, and why not Bent? So yeah, I like Max. You see some other people already liking Max. Funny enough, when Molinari started to make a comeback, I actually put an outright bet. I do have a bet on him. But then I haven't seen enough from Francesco to kind of warrant it. It seems like the putter and even his approach. Yeah, so he lost 5 strokes on approach at the Arnold Palmer. But, here you can see where, he missed the cut in 2020, and this was still kind of during his hiatus. And then, all of a sudden he kind of, his first comeback, right, was at Shriners in Vegas. So that was like the first time we saw him. Like, look at it, it was like an 8-month hiatus. And that was, a lot of it was he was, getting his family moved over here and all that. Then we had that 15th at the Houston Open. We're like, huh. And then so people are like, oh, maybe the Masters again, right? Because, what do you, just losing to Tiger in 2019. And then missed a cut there. But then, an 8th, a 10th, an 8th. And in this course, which I think would fit him pretty well, just didn't do well. And then he's had 2 missed cuts recently. So, again, if you want to differentiate, could he top 10? It could happen. We know he can do it. He's done it here before. So I like Victor Perez. Showed a ton of WGC. We've got to see a bit of Victor Perez here over the last, 4 or 5 events. The guy can handle some pressure. And just trying to see. His best finish over here was at 4th, 2019 at WGC. Of course, he had that 9th at the Players. And you're not going to see, they don't put the match play on here. And I don't believe he has played the Masters, okay, and he missed a cut in 2020 recently. But I like where his game's at right now, where his headspace is. I don't know. I'm on him. I think it could be pretty good. And then I think my last 2 is Corey Connors. The putter has been better from a stroke gain. He's doing better, or has already been elite tee to green. If we go look at Corey, let's take a look here. So, yeah, he had a 10th in 2020. He's played here 3 times. I just like where Corey's game is right now. And, you can see, quite a bit of ownership. But for that price, I think it's a good value. And last but not least, Kokrak, I think, is going to be, I don't want to say he's my sneaky pick. I mean, you see 12% projected ownership. But This guy, he's not being talked about, but I think this guy is definitely gonna show up. Um, a lot like Corey Connors. I think he's got a little more disc off the tee, but he's can be elite. But this is what has been the telltale is what he's been doing with that putter. And so you combine, you can see a ninth, an eighth, a ninth. Um, the guy's playing well and played well at Shadow Creek. Of course, won it, gained 10 strokes putting. So that's why I'm on him. Okay, let's go wrap this up and summarize the picks. Okay, so with that said, you got to see a ton of analysis and my thoughts, and also things that you can kind of make your own thoughts out of on who you like. But here you go. These are my top 5 guys who I think technically could win this, or top 5. Of course, Jordan Spieth, already past champion here. You've got Patrick Cantlay, who came close. You've got JT, who's just getting better and better 6th time around, just been improving. I like him. Of course, you got DeChambeau, who's not had a great record here, but I think this is his, I guess it'd be his 6th time around the track, I think, if you count the amateur play that he won the Low-Am. But I think he's in a better mental space for this. I'm expecting good things out of Bryson. And of course, Patrick Reed just always shows up. It's just a dog. He's just going to keep fighting. I think he's always live, especially at this tournament. My next 5, I like Casey finally to get back there, get in a nice top 10. Lee Westwood, I think, could be right in the mix of things. Daniel Berger, I like everything. I think, I don't think there's any issues with the rib thing. I think he is fine and good to go. Of course, Cam Smith has had 2 top 5s here. Something suits him, and I guess a good around the greens, great putter. And of course, Koepka, if he's in and he's ready to go, I don't think he's going to win it. I don't think he's even a top 5, but I think he's going to top 10 this thing. He'll be up there, so I had to put him in there. Then my final, of course, I like Max won the Genesis, has won at tough courses, Quail Hollow with the Wells Fargo. Of course, Garcia has played here 84,000 times, does well here, won in 2017. The guy, if he just can putt, if he can just stay even with the putter, could be definitely a top 10. Of course, Fitzpatrick, not the greatest history here, but everything tells me he should be good here. And so, decent form and recent form, decent recent form. So I'm on him. And then Kokrak, the guy who won at the CJ Cup, let's see if that applies. But I think it's the best comp course I can think of. And I don't think anybody else has mentioned I've seen. So, I think Jason could be very live here for a top 10. And last but not least, Joaquin Niemann, it's only played here once. But that's probably the one that we're going to throw some course history out on. So that's it. And if you like what you saw, please click the like, share, subscribe. Any questions, anything I can help you out with, hit me up on the Twitter sphere at DSS Golf. Don't forget, 8 o'clock tonight, I'm stopping taking people's picks and entries. So if you want to get it in for the $100 Millie Maker, do it now. And all the best of luck to us. I will announce the winners on tomorrow's show. Sleepers, fades, weather, ownership projections, all the stuff we need before we make our final picks. And I kind of mentioned as we went through this who I got my bets on. So hopefully the one I don't know if I mentioned was Carlos Ortiz. I think I put it in before he won the Houston, and then he won the Houston Open, which is, I think, a good comparable course here. He wasn't one of my picks, but from a bet perspective, I think I got like 125 to 1. So I had no idea what his futures are now or what his odds are. But those are my from bets. And then from a one and done, if I had to give you, I would think if you've not used DeChambeau, if you've not used Spieth, and if you've not used JT, pretty much anybody in my top 5. And then you got Reed. And also, Cam Smith, if you've not used him from a one and done perspective, would all be some guys that I would look at. And that's it. Thanks so much. Best of luck to us, and I'll talk to you guys later.